before we get into this, we're getting ready to talk about the MLB All-Star Weekend. They got Jermaine Dupri, kind of one of the mayors of Atlanta. And by the way, the Atlanta Braves jerseys, that's one of the hardest jerseys. That just looks always like actually wearing it with street clothes.
No complaint.
Yeah, that always looks good. You got him. You got Ludacris. They're doing Welcome to Atlanta. Without even looking, I can already tell that's what it is. You got the dancers. You got the crowd. MLB is they're doing it big. I got to give it to them.
Well, this is the thing that the NFL wanted during the Super Bowl in Los Angeles kind of leaned into it, but this is a very Atlanta performance.
Yes.
As you said, Jermaine Dupri, Ludacris, the Clark Atlanta Marching Band.
Yep.
And several other people, I'm sure.
And for those who don't know, HBCUs, you got it looks like maybe a local high school.
That's Clark.
There. Is that Clark? Oh, that's
Yeah.
Clark there. So you got Clark. You've got there's some other folks. You got some maybe just hired dancers. Like it's a full on thing out there, and it looks like a blast. And so credit them for kind of embracing this and kind of embracing the Atlanta culture, saying this is where we are. This is the flavor of what you're gonna get.
And I think
I like that.
And not to belabor the point, but I think that when you see more and more and more people complaining about the way games are presented, the way games are shown, I think that Fox does a really, really good job, and not to even just be a company man, but Fox makes games feel important. Like when you watch this big performance before this game, it's like, oh, this like the All-Star, I might have to watch this. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you see it, I have to check this out. The Rickwood Field performance, before watching that, I was there watching that performance live at the game, the regular season game they had at Rickwood Field.
Mm-hmm.
And when you play a game like baseball, and I know that generally in this time slot, words like this are forbidden, so you have to dump it. I apologize in
hopefully
advance.
Listen, 'cause I know where you're about to go.
But when you play a game like baseball, the more event-type games you can have, the better. Because nobody's tuning in for 162, including Rob Parker.
Nobody's tuning in. If it ain't the Yankees, he ain't tuning in. Oops, did I say that out loud?
And so the more events you can feel, this feels like just watching this. Again, we're watching it with the sound off, but I was in the same position for 2 of these games, so I know it.
Yep.
This feels way bigger than the NBA Finals did.
So you beat me to it. We had this conversation on our show, Rob and I, and I said the NBA is not having the logo on the floor. And I know it's been some years, but not having it on the floor, not showing the intro, so much so that what do? Later in the series, Rob G, they say, oh, bring the intros back. Bring them back. I'm sorry, my bad. Like, how are you not making this feel like something? Bring out the intros. Bring out the trophy, the camaraderie. I said performances. I said, dude, why are there not pregame performances? Why are there not halftime performances? Maybe not every game, but maybe game one, game something like it. You just feel this should feel like it matters. And I completely was blown away that the NBA of all the leagues would miss that, because historically that was what they're really good at. It was kind of the hipper. They know they have a younger audience, and they had all the hipper performances and tried to be more cool and relevant. So they're missing it, and MLB's doing a great job, which leads to this conversation we're about to get into. By the way, Adam Kaplan coming up in about 25 minutes or so, and at about 40 minutes or so, we're going to have Trash Talking Tuesday. You can trash anybody, anyone, anything, including me, including Martin, including Rob G, Alex, whomever, and we won't say a thing. You'll get your 30 seconds to let it rip. So Trash Talking Tuesday coming up, Adam Kaplan coming up as well. But right now, I want to talk about this, and right after the show, our podcast is going to be going up. If you miss any of today's show, be sure to listen to the pod. Just search Odd Couple wherever you get your podcast, and be sure to follow and review the pod. Rate it 5 stars. Again, just search Odd Couple wherever your podcasts, you get them, and you'll find today's show in best of version posted right after we get off the air. All right. So Rob Manfred, speaking of MLB, he is defending and how he has had to bend the rules a little bit when it comes to selection to a replacement in the MLB All-Star Game. Rob G, I'm going to come to you. Tee us up on this one, because I want to hear where we both are, see if we're on the same page when it comes to Rob Manfred's decisions.
Now, Martin, you weren't here for this day, but a couple of weeks ago, we had a pretty strong U2 moment debating whether or not it was fair that Clayton Kershaw got in as a Legends choice for the All-Star Game. Well, about a couple days later, Rob Manfred turned that one on its head, and no one even cares about Clayton Kershaw anymore, because Brewers rookie pitcher Jacob Misiorowski, who has only pitched in 5 MLB games so far in his young career, was added as a replacement all-star pitcher for the National League. And it got a lot of people up in arms, so much so that several Philadelphia Phillies players went on record. This was not anonymous sourcing. This was not, let me tell a reporter who's going to tell someone else. No, they said themselves that they had a problem with it. Trey Turner on Miz getting in. What a joke. That's effing terrible. Nick Castellanos. It's turning into the Savannah Bananas. All right, so it's been a big thing
That's hilarious.
across baseball. So last night.
So a quick point of order, because
Yes.
Is there any reason why it's just Phillies talking out that a Philly gets snubbed for this?
Well, they had two guys who they
had
believe
two-
got
yeah,
snubbed.
and that-
Okay.
That's where
So
this
they were the
goes.
ones who were most public about it. So last night, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred was asked about it because it is a controversial decision. And he said, quote, the excitement that was going to be generated, the fan interest in seeing this guy, it's something that we couldn't ignore. And he added later, do I want to make it the norm where guys only pitching 5 games getting a nod? I don't, but I believe it was the right decision here given where we are.
All right. This is the easy one for me. Rob Manfred is in his Suge Knight death row era. This is where, if you recall, you want this, you want that, come to death row. Come to MLB. And he is feeling himself right now. And I'll tell you why. He's coming off some successes, Martin. He's coming off, man, what were we kind of just saying a moment ago? Baseball got a little boring, right? Y'all say it got a little boring. Okay, I understand that. Bam. Get rid of this line shift. No, player. You're going to have to defend. You saying baseball is getting a little boring. Okay. Bam. Pitch clock. Speed this thing on up, bruh. Bitch, baseball's going a little bit. All right, let me check to see if you got what you got. You got any tar? You got any resin on your hand? He has been cleaning and changing the game a bit, and I think it's starting to get – some of it is starting to have an impact. We're starting to feel it. The games are faster, more compelling. Also, one of the things I've historically said since I was doing sports radio, even at the other places, that baseball loves the ghost of the years past, Martin. You wouldn't know who was playing right now because the first thing – tell me about the game today. Oh, before I get to that, man, let me tell you about Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, Babe Ruth. Let me tell you about all these old guys, Willie Hayes, and Hank Aaron, and it's going and on. They always, where you're like, dude, but you got some great players right now, currently, doing amazing things. And then you watch all-star games. It was never like what we just watched. It was wheeling out guys, and I'm not saying you don't respect and honor the past. Absolutely you do that. But you don't solely do that. And baseball was solely living in the past. So I think Rob Manfred is feeling himself that some of the decisions he has made have worked. Made the game more popular. Some he kind of just lucked into. Yankees, Dodgers, first time 81.
Right.
You fell into that. Ended up being a compelling series. You got Shohei, you got Aaron Judge, you got all these big names, you got all these all-stars. That just fell in his lap. So I think he's continuing with the momentum. So I think this is a decision. I like what he said there. He said, look, I'm going to keep it real. This is about the fact that this kid throws 103, 104 miles per hour. People want to see it. I might not do it again. I hope I don't have to. And mind you, he made them an offer they shouldn't refuse. He asked a couple other pitchers, Martin. He said, hey, are you going to guarantee me an inning? He said, well, no, I just pitched on Sunday. I don't think I'll. Right. Well, then get out. You going to do it? Guarantee an inning? Well, no, I don't want to guarantee because I just don't. Then you ain't pitching. And so he is in his death row, mob boss, the Godfather era right now, doing what he believes is best for the game, trying to raise the platform of the game, make the game hip relevant. And I'm not mad at him because part of that is you're going to make mistakes. Part of that is you're not going to always get it right, but at least you're trying. And baseball had become stagnant for some time, hadn't tried things, wasn't switching it up. So I'm not mad at Suge Manfred right now as he's trying to do some things.
The only beef I'd have with this for real, I don't have a problem with Suarez and Sanchez missing because to go on, like for the Phillies' whole team damn near to go on record. I was like, wait, let me go check. Ranger Suarez, I actually got in a big argument 2 weeks ago on these air because I was like, he leads the major league in ERA. Doesn't qualify. He didn't qualify because I was like, no, I just saw it. He has a 2 ERA. He's like he's one of the top 5. He didn't qualify. Not enough innings pitched to qualify, and it ended up being a big blowout between me and Muncie. It was long.
I'm going to pull that podcast up.
Christopher Sanchez, he pitched this weekend. He wasn't going to be available. So if you're not going to be available and you just want to have like the all-star
ceremony will be there.
All right, cool, whatever. But you got to be available to go. My beef with this is like I have a problem with Jacob Misiorowski over Juan Soto, not over Ranger Suarez. Like I think Juan Soto should be an all-star with the first half that he's having. I know it started out slow, but also in the final point, in the first point I made to Rob G when I was talking about this, we have already made it is already established in baseball, these are not the best 60 players.
Mm-hmm.
There's one representative from every team. There's all this. So, like Javi Baez is a center fielder for the
that's crazy.
Like, is he? No, he's not the like. So, some things about this are going to be a little off year to year. Some things about this will be a little weird year to year. And if it ends up that Paul Skeens has 5 All-Star games when he really only had 3 good years or something like that, 3 years of winning, I'm not going to cry about it. If it ends up that Jacob Misiorowski ends up being the Brewers All-Star for the next 2 years and the Brewers are a 500 team in the NL Central, I'm not going to cry about that because, to me, you're not – the chances that the Colorado Rockies have one of the best 60 players in baseball right now, hard for me to believe.
Hard to believe. 60. Can they get 60 wins?
That's what I'm saying. If you're doing, or, saying to filling out the All-Star roster, hard for me to believe.
Absolutely. And I want to go – so Juan Soto, I agree. We sat here, I don't know, week and a half ago, me and Rob talking about that. And I said that's the trouble that comes with the money. Because immediately, right off the bat, you mentioned, he started off slowly. He wasn't where you think he'd be because immediately we equate it to money. And he had an amazing June, was probably one of the best players. He won the player of the month for June. And then you can still go, well, he started off slow, or, well, he should be number 1, number 2, number 3 in these stats because you just simply equate it to the money. So Juan Soto absolutely should have been an all-star. And I think moving forward, he's going to have to keep that in mind, that's the responsibility, that's the challenges, I should say, that comes with when you sign, $750 million deal, is that the expectations are crazy. And you kind of have those moments where maybe you shouldn't have talked about missing your old boo, talking about, missing playing with the Yankees and Judge. And it's not the same. I'm not playing with them.
But I'm not to cut you off. Maybe I'm just too big of a football fan. Listen, what you talk about in the media and what you do on the diamond, those are 2 different things to me. You want to be immunized to be the be an MVP candidate, then I can rock with you, Aaron Rodgers. But like Juan Soto, only 7 players in Major League Baseball history to the All-Star break recorded at least 20 home runs, 7 walks, 15 doubles, and 10 stolen bases. 7 players in the history of baseball. And you telling me that the guy that's pitched 5 and made 5 starts or made 5 appearances is what we doing? That's crazy.
But so the first half of that I reply with, that's why I go back to the fan perception of money and what you're doing, especially when you have a slow start, right? Because now you've been covering sports long enough to know this is one of the worst things about sports, but it's kind of a fact. If you do something wrong or just this is how you are, we kind of perceive that forever for you. For instance, LeBron didn't take some shots or miss a shot kind of early on in his clutch. Then he went on to be very clutch, but in our minds, LeBron ain't clutch.
Right.
Because those first few times he either missed it or he passed it up or he didn't shoot it and we wanted to. So permanently in our mind, LeBron ain't clutch.
Sure.
And that happens all the time. So I think people, Juan Soto, all this money, starts off slowly, teams not winning a bunch. And I think people, they're not doing what we do coming in for a living, checking the stats, checking this, what are we going to talk about, having meetings, preparing for a show. I think they're like, I know he's been better, but he ain't been that good. And I think that just becomes their perception. He ain't worth all that money.
You want to talk about perception? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I just saw this back-to-back plays in this game. Caitlin Clark got the ball stolen from her and then turned over the next possession, shot a 3 over a double team, and it just popped. She is 1 for 29 on 3-pointers on the road.
Yeah, since she's been back.
But she's in the 3-point contest.
I mentioned that when Steve said that. I said, dude, she's shooting 29 on the – well, surely it's less now. 29% on the season, 26% since she's been back from injury. And, by the way, I'm glad you mentioned that because it has nothing to do with the MLB and Rob Manfred. But I will say, Caitlin Clark do got to get some of the smoke because we will sing her praises, which justifiably so, when she's playing well and she's doing amazing things. She does because if anybody else was doing this, if Steph Curry – was 1 for 29, we'd be going crazy.
And to be honest, Steph Curry could go 1 for 29. If he wanted to be in the 3-point contest, nobody would blink at the All-Star break. You know what I'm saying? Like, depending on how it happened. This is kind of coming up on the All-Star break for the WNBA, so it's kind of going into the stretch of it. But, if Steph Curry started the first month of the year, 1 for 29 from 3, by the All-Star break, if he wanted to, he's in the 3-point contest. That's kind of my point with Juan Soto. It's like at a certain point, These guys are the establishment of what your league is. The WNBA is putting Caitlin Clark in the three-point contest this year, not because she is one of the best three-point shooters in the league this year. She is putting it in it is a bet on the future of what could happen. You know what I'm saying? Of what they believe will happen.
Well, I don't know why. I don't know what Juan Soto has either done, or if Rob Manfred just felt like he needed another pitcher, and that was kind of the direction I'm going to go. And I want to, again, put Miz in, and so they can see something spectacular for 8 innings, see somebody do something different. We'll have guys who can hit. We'll have guys who can field, but we won't have necessarily guys who are throwing 103, 104 miles per hour. So maybe that's what he's mixing it up. And that goes back to my original point that he is in his death row Suge Knight. I'm doing stuff. Hey, Pete Rose, you just died? All right. Y'all can vote him in now if you choose to, whether you want to. Get him off the ban list. Like, I mean, he is in his I'm just making these gangster decisions mode. And, again, some of it's work. Sped up the game, changed the line shift, offense is going, fell into the Dodgers-Yankees, the whole Pete Rose thing. So he is making some of these decisions right now, and this is being another one. And Juan Soto has to feel some type of way, though. I bet the second half of the season he's got to go on a tear because he's got to feel slighted from both the fan perspective and then obviously Rob Manfred. Or you could also just say, Kelvin, I'm all right. Why? Them checks cash either way. Which, by the way, that was another thing he didn't have to say. Rob and I did agree. When they asked him about, oh, do you feel, I'm missing the game? And he was like, man, you know how much money I'm missing out on?
Yeah, I mean, again, he didn't do himself any favors,
you got to know the climate. People are losing their jobs left and right now. People struggle busing. Everything's up. Sometimes it's just okay to say, yeah, man, I really want to represent the Mets in this city and put them on my back and be an all-star game. Bruh, $700 million, that 120, if you were to be on part of the winning team, you'll be all right.
Yep. Funny enough, I had a lot of conversations about Juan Soto over the last 5 days with people from the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
50-50.
Yes, you did.
50-50.
Really?
A lot of them are Yankees fans, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But that just goes to show you. There's pictures and posters and murals of Fernando Tatis everywhere.
Right.
It's
interesting.
50. And again, completely anecdotal, not reported.
No, but I liked it, though.